Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Walthers Mainline is known for their budget, rolling stock, and locomotives, and usually you get a lot of good bang for your buck. Today we're taking a look at a recent release from Walthers Mainline, which is their 53-foot NSC articulated well cars. Now, Walthers had previously released 53-foot NSC well cars that were articulated, but they were connected by a drawbar. These are actually connected with a pin that you lay on top of each other, so it's articulated that way and not a drawbar connection. So it is a different tooling, and it's under the Walthers Mainline name. Now I've got a total of 30 of these cars. We're just going to take a look at a few of these 3-packs. So I've got 10 3-packs total. We'll just take a look at the few different schemes that I got. We'll see what you get in the box, see how they operate, and see what other testing we can get into next. All right, here's a little bit better of a top-down view. My tripod has some limitations on height. You just lift off the clear paper lid. You have a clear plastic lid as well. And the 3 cars are wrapped in plastic. There's also a clear plastic thing inside that would fill in for where your containers are to keep them from moving around. This is the BNSF version, and as you can see, as I mentioned before, there is a pin there on the left where that center partition of the 3-car set would sit with a little loop. So here is the center, and you see that little loop there to the right. And then the 3rd car will then piggyback off of the other 2. The center car having 2 loops, so the 3rd car has 2 little pins. So if I turn that around, there's the pin on the 3rd car. So that's the unboxing. I've kind of gone over a little bit of the features, but let's take a look closer. There are the 3 BNSF, and as you can see, you've got the side stiffeners there. The FRA required striping. It's reflective. This is not actually reflective. It's just a yellow pad print, I should say. But that's present, along with a lot of writing on these. As you can see, everything's legible. These are die-cast metal, so they're pretty heavy. Crew access, grab irons there, along with the ladder. The one area that is not highly detailed is going to be your end platforms. There's not going to be etched metal. Those are a plastic, just verifying there. But they are a plastic, and they're going to have a nice stamped appearance, so it looks like it's see-through or etched, but it's not. Still not bad considering the price, but you guys can be the judge of the price. Also, you can see a lot of the other detail, including the markings from the different container size. 45, 48, 53 are marked there. 20s are marked there. So you can put 40-foot up to 53-foot containers in here. You see the airline hose there to the right. So you'll see airline plumbing on these as well, which is a nice detail. And on the bottom you can see the pattern, cross pattern for actually holding those containers in and having a floor of some sort. Not want to be a hobo trying to ride in a bare table or empty version of these cars. Center car here is more of the same detail that we've gone over. Different end platforms, obviously. This center car kind of floats on those 2 pins. That doesn't mean that it's sitting any higher, but it does have a little more wobble, I noticed. Only if you are kind of trying to wobble it. Last car, again, more of the same detail on this last car. There is an air reservoir here and some end platform detail. So you can see the air reservoir tank peeking out, some plumbing. peeking out there on the right side. Trying to get that in view for you. And I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff people could tell me that you can geek out about. Obviously, you've got your sprung trucks there, metal wheels, handbrake detail on the end, and the couplers are plastic couplers that are spring-loaded. Double check that as well. So there is your end detail. Different schemes on these. Here is the DTTX. And I will show you 3 different schemes total. I just picked one of the cars on the end of the other ones to show you, but same detail we covered, just different paint scheme, and you can still see the reflective striping kind of differentiated from the body paint there. You can see it right there. For example, even though that's yellow, you got the 125T there on the end in black. So this is your DTTX. And then, last but not least, is the CN/GTW, Canadian National, I think /Grand Trunk Western. So these are another scheme. More of the same, close to the BNSF color, but with GTW road markings. So there's an end off of one of those. You will see all 3, there's the CN logo too, but you will see all 3 of these schemes in a run by. I'm not going to run all of these cars as I'm building a massive intermodal train, and this set is just part of that. So 30 of these will be involved in that, but I'll just run a few by with containers later. And speaking of containers, let's see how some containers fit. I don't remember the container names of the manufacturers, but you have this Pacer Modern. Might be an Athearn, I think. Fits pretty well. I know for a fact this one is a Walthers, and that fits no problem. The Walthers was undecorated. I've had some made in a prime intermodal. That fits no problem. This UMAX here, also no problem. And this older Pacer Stack Train logo one, no problem. So of all these cars, I haven't had a container that hasn't fit, and I've tried multiple brands. If I did, I would point out which brand wasn't fitting, but they all fit. Some a little tighter than others, but they're all fitting in there without movement and without pushing it too hard or straining to get it in. Now the Walthers 40-foot containers with 40-foot well cars are a snug fit. But not in this case. All right, we're going to fire up the scale here. You may not be able to see it that well, but I can. I'll be able to report to you what is going on. So 4.5 ounces for one car. Now we're at 8.9. Now we are at 12.5 ounces for all 3. And I'll get into NMRA compliance in a second, but that's 354 grams, and again, 12.5 ounces. All right, so let's talk about NMRA compliance. In addition to the initial ounce, you're supposed to have half an ounce per inch of length. For the 3-car set, you're sitting at 27 3/4 inches. So you should have a weight of almost 15 ounces, and you're sitting at 12, but that does not include containers. So when you add 6 containers, you're probably sitting at close to 15 ounces. So that is, it is underweight on the NMRA ounces, but again, that is not including containers. They're die cast. They're probably as heavy as you're going to get on well cars. You're probably wondering how they roll, and it's not bad. There is definitely a little bit of drag though. I think in some cases, depending on the car, the wheel may be in contact with the body, because occasionally I'll hear a high-pitched kind of sound for a half a second or so. I don't think that more than 2 or 3 motive powers would have any problem. Locomotives, especially the larger ones like the ES44s or the Aces, would have any problem pulling these cars. But there is heft to them, and there is a little bit of drag to them. In terms of body wobble, you don't have any body wobble on the ends. In the middle, though, if I were to take a couple of containers and put them in this middle car is floating. So you can see it has more motion there and has a bit of wobble to each side. But I notice it is mostly when I am moving it, when I'm going over switches and such, which I've already tested here. I have not noticed that you get any movement of the containers or the car. So this is only seems to be when you're intentionally moving this, or if you have maybe really rough tracks or gaps in your tracks, it may shift slightly. But that is the body wobble. All right, so overall these cars are pretty nice. You just have to be aware that maybe you're going to get some wheel rub, maybe some body wobble on that center car. Still a good budget-friendly option. The only representation of these 53-foot cars in this NSC format, other than the drawbar versions that Walthers released years ago. So much needed for the market, and I'm glad to see them. I can't wait to get them in the really, really long consist, and maybe I'll be able to give you more information about drag and such. But all the 53-foot containers fit. I think the price is appropriate. The detail is sufficient, obviously lacking in the platforms, but they've got to cut costs somewhere for this to be Walthers Mainline and somewhat budget-friendly. So with that said, thanks for watching. We'll leave you with a run by, and we'll see you next time right here on the channel. Take care.
Many of the products you see in this video are available at trainworld.com. Since 1968, this family-owned business has been serving the needs of the modeling community with 2 New York brick-and-mortar store locations in Brooklyn and Long Island, plus their vast array of online items. Shop 24/7 at trainworld.com.